Yeah.
All right. Well. All right.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. I'm.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Cool. All right. Sweet.
Okay. Usually I start talking a little bit about how I know the person that I'm interviewing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know you though.
No, your friends talked to me at a bar about Ben 10 and fucking Chekhov, and then
Ants.
And then I sat at the same table as them later.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And then I was kind of just sitting there and listening.
Yeah, rolling a cigarette.
Yeah.
Catching the conversation.
Drinking beer.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a great Sunday night. Right? It was Monday. It was Memorial Day, I think. Right? No.
It was really busy. I know it was that weekend though, because it was movement weekend.
Yeah.
So it may have been a Monday.
Who knows?
It's still been busy.
Who knows? There's no way to know.
We're here now.
Yeah.
But yeah, you so very graciously was like, yeah, interview me. So now I'm here and I'm interviewing you. The reason I'm interviewing you is because I get the impression that you might be an artist. Are you an artist?
To an extent, you know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't introduce myself as an artist.
Okay.
And I feel I went out the other week with a friend of mine who is an artist, and he's at CCS right now, and he was introducing me as an artist, and it I don't know, I kind of felt off. Didn't feel right.
Okay. Because I mean, why don't you call yourself an artist?
Well, I went through college to get a degree to do art, and I did art then. But since then, and I mean, even throughout, outside of classes, I was just doing work for other people with, really finite goals and not a lot of creative freedom, or, not a lot of, creative-driven projects. It's always been more just, techniques and, the idea of a finished product and, what it will look like. And outside of that, I'm not really active anymore as far as personal art projects. I'm not very active other than doing jewelry or something for a friend. So I don't really think of myself as an artist, because I think artists are more active, and I think that's a part of it.
Would you like to be more active artistically?
I think so. It comes in spurts, where I've been picking up guitar and writing songs and stuff, and I've been fairly active at that, but it's fallen off recently. So I like having the ability to have those spurts, and when I have moments or bursts of creative thoughts or something I want to do, chasing it then.
So I mean, you said that you went to school for art?
Yeah, I went to Wayne State and got a BFA with a concentration in metalsmithing.
Okay. Why did you decide to go for that?
I went to high school in Grosse Pointe and got pretty lucky and had a metals and a ceramics class in my senior year, and I really fell in love with jewelry making. But I went into chemical engineering for my first year at Wayne and started to fail out. So I took a semester of random classes. I think it was anthropology, Shakespeare, intro to jewelry making, and some general English class. And I really liked the professor for jewelry making. I really liked being back in the studio and doing things like that, and kind of just on a whim switched my major.
Yeah. All right. But before that, were you doing a whole lot of stuff artistically?
I was carving little rings out of wood in sophomore and junior year of high school. But other than that, not really.
So you were making rings out of wood before you even took your metalsmithing class?
Yeah.
That's cool. What got you into that?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I think I made a little incense stand, and I had some offcuts, and I was like, oh, that'd make a ring. And I made it a ring.
Where did you get your materials and tools? What were you using?
My dad has a decent setup in the garage of tools and stuff, and he's always been a any issue around the house, like do it yourself kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I had watched him growing up, and I didn't know this until recently, but both my grandfathers were like huge metal guys. Like my grandfather on my dad's side was doing like bronze pours in his basement, and my grandfather on my mother's side was like a tool and die guy. And I didn't know this apparently until like last year.
Wow.
So it was like a fun, you know, it kind of just ran through the family a little bit.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I was making these incense holders in that garage, and like, you know, I would just pick up scraps of wood to start off with, and eventually we went and got like more exotic woods out of the shop on, I think it's Utica, it's like Woodcraft or something.
That's fucking awesome.
It was fun.
And then, so then you did metalsmithing class in high school, and then you ended up going to college for that.
Yeah.
From my understanding, you now have a job working with metal.
Yeah.
Did you get that because of your degree?
Yeah, I met some friends through college, and I was doing construction during college, like general contracting, and I really kind of disliked the job I was in, so I posted on my Instagram story asking who was hiring, and a friend of a friend DM'd me and was like, oh hey, there's a antique restoration place up in St. Clair Shores that I'm quitting soon, so you can have my job if you want.
Shit.
Yeah, it worked out like really great.
Yeah, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
So what do you do at your job?
So we restore ancient and antique arms and armor. So like suits of armor, swords, daggers, knives, and stuff. Like, it's trying to either fix bad restorations that have happened before, or get it to like a better state than it is. You know, so like, I'm trying to think of a good example. I'm working on some I want to say Afghanistan swords, like some swords from Afghanistan today, and like, you know, the handles and the grips on one of them are just shimmed out and like full of wood putty and in really bad states, and the blade doesn't match what it should be, and so it's like we get a blade that would fit that better and get handles that would be more authentic to the piece, and then just kind of put those back together like that, or, you know, recreate a part if it's missing.
So do you feel like what you learned in college like really directly applied to that, or was there a bit of a learning curve when you started that?
To an extent. Like, I used to talk with some friends who were in the metalsmithing program that we really only learned like maybe 10 techniques the entire time, and it's just kind of honing those and getting better at them. Like, once you know how to solder, you can only just get better at soldering, you know, or like filing, shaping, polishing, finishing, all that stuff. So like, it does apply, and like I use a lot of that daily, but so much of what we do is very different from what I learned to do. Where like in college I'm soldering brass, or I'm doing a casting or whatever, but at work I now have to like match wood finishes and colors, you know, or like paint color match old bone, or like weld to a piece of metal that's almost entirely rust, you know.
Do you enjoy doing that work?
I did, yeah, to an extent. Like, it gets monotonous, as all jobs do, you know, but it's really rewarding as like in like a problem solving kind of way, where like if I have something and it's just not working, like we're working on a spur for like a boot spur, and it's made of cast iron, and it's missing the section that attaches it to like the little strap that goes around the boot. And so we're trying to weld that back together to like make it so that it can all be put back together. But, you know, welding cast iron comes with all of its own like hurdles and problems, and so it's just like working on something for so long, trying to figure out actually how to work around the issues and like teach myself how to weld cast iron, you know. And it's really satisfying in the end when I can like look at it and I lose my repair because I just can't see it anymore.
That does sound awesome. I'm just curious, what kind of like clientele like are you working for through that company?
So there's, I mean, there are different like, I guess you'd say like brackets of like stuff that we work on. Like, we do jewelry where it's like a ring that part of the shank has worn away on, we'll reshank that and sell it, and it's, fairly cheap, or like little fragments of knives that are fairly cheap. So like we'll do those, we'll do the full suits of armor, we do swords and stuff from all over, and it's like most everybody, like kind of different, like people for all walks of life. Like if someone wants a little chain or something that has just a little pendant from whenever, like, it's fairly affordable, or like a notable collector who wants a new set of armor or something like that.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah, it's fun.
Is that like a job that you think you'll continue doing for a while?
Maybe. I really want to be a professor at the end of the day. Like, I'd love to teach metals one day. And this is a great experience for that. Like, having, like, subbed in for a few classes, like, I've noticed that kids love to find, like, little narrow, like, tunnels to get themselves locked in and needing to, like, get helped out of. You know what I mean? Like, if they'll get something to the point where they can't fix it anymore, like, it's nice to be able to know how to fix anything like that. And so it's super helpful that way. I don't know how long I see myself doing it for, if I'm being honest.
Right. Do you have, like, kind of a plan or an idea for a plan in place? Or are you kind of just winging it?
I'm just kind of winging it.
Yeah.
I'm mostly winging it.
Yeah. When you started college for metalsmithing or metalworking, did you think that you were going to you would have a job doing that?
Well, no, I started, doing chemical engineering. Like I was completely not other side of the map, but like, my career was going to be working for some company, developing paint or whatever. But once I changed fields, it was like, I don't know, I just kind of felt happy doing it, and I didn't really care like what I ended up doing in the end.
Right.
Because I always figured, worst case scenario, I'm a high school art teacher, and I loved my high school art teacher, so like,
hell yeah,
I would have been very happy doing that.
All right, yeah, that's not bad then.
Yeah.
It sounds like you've not had and correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like you've not had a whole lot of turmoil about how you're going to apply your creative interests.
Not really, no. I think we were talking briefly before this, and like, I'm always happy if I'm working with my hands. If it's like building a fence or, forging a knife or something, like, I'm just happy doing that. Like seeing the results of my work is just so nice.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have more questions.
Sure.
But I'm also thinking about rolling another cigarette.
Yeah, for sure.
So
yeah, go for
I'm
it.
gonna do a little bit of that. I left my filters.
They're on the ground.
They are on the ground?
Yeah.
Oh, excellent. Thank you.
Does this go in the podcast?
Why not? I don't edit out a whole lot.
For sure.
One, because it takes a lot of effort. Two, because I try to lean on my awkwardness.
For sure.
I've found that is more beneficial for me in social situations than to just try not to be awkward.
For sure.
And so I appreciate, having a little bit of that,
Why not?
awkwardness in the things that I record. I think it's real, right?
Yeah, no, it would be like fake to cut it out or try to be something you're not.
Yeah. And like, I don't know, a lot of my favorite like podcasters and stuff, they don't edit anything out.
Perfect.
So, although of course if you request anything be edited out, I can of course do that. I have had people say things they regret.
I think it'd be a good time to like cut something just completely unrelated out. Just like just throw up this was asked to be stricken from the record.
Yeah. That's a good idea. I like that. Thank you for the...
Well, and then you can like a month or so later, or like for the 1 year anniversary or whatever, you can be like, this is the full unedited version, and it's just like, so what do you think of like the SpongeBob ice cream pops? Like with the gumball eyes,
Yeah, what do you think of those?
I think the fact that the eyes are never placed correctly is like is one of the draws. I think that's really fun. I think it's like it's really fun to see where your eyeballs land up there. You know, it's like, did I get a good one, or did I get one where it's just like opposite corners of the bob?
Right. Yeah, I understand that.
What's your take on the cartoon character ice creams?
See, I wasn't allowed to watch SpongeBob,
Okay.
so I feel like there's an emotional connection, a nostalgic connection
Yeah.
to representations of SpongeBob that I don't have.
Okay.
That other people perhaps do.
Yeah.
I do appreciate it, you know, kind of as an outsider.
Mm-hmm.
How I feel I appreciate a lot of things, you know, I'm like, I understand, you know, how other people were raised with these, you know, common things that people were raised with, and how that might, you know, click into place with something like the SpongeBob ice creams.
For
but
sure. Anyways, yeah.
So, you know, I think you have an artistic eye, though, you know, to appreciate something like that.
Thank you. I mean, I like. I mean, there's artistry in it, you know, and that's like it's the beauty of like the random chance of the machine, you know.
Yeah.
When it gets put in there.
Yeah.
Sorry, there's an ant on this table. It's just been like.
Wow, that's a pretty crazy looking ant.
I don't even know if it's an ant, man.
I saw a cockroach last night.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Where at?
In the garage that I was smoking weed in.
Likely place for it to be. Right?
Yes. Okay. Okay. Back.
Yeah. Back to something.
Track. Oh, that ant's getting pretty friendly.
That's cool.
Or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know, maybe it's just a artsy ant.
Sure. You an artist?
Are you an artist? I think so, probably.
Why not? Yeah.
I'll save that for like my 50th, 100th episode, something special.
Interviewing a colony of ants.
Yes. Yes. That'll be for if I don't get a camper and I gradually
there you
go crazier.
Anyway.
Yeah. So I was curious though, because like you said, you really enjoy working with your hands, and like that's the major thing for you. I mean, you did say that before your class in high school, all you really did was like carve some rings out of wood.
Yeah.
But are you sure there was nothing like before that, like people Play-Doh, whatever?
Yeah, I mean, like I loved Legos as a kid. Like my parents took me to the Renaissance Festival a bunch when I was a kid, and so like I loved those like wooden swords you could get that were like just painted with spray paint or whatever. And like I think I found like 3 feet of copper tubing piping my dad had, and I was like, I should hammer this into a sword. So I did, and like, you know, it was fun. Just sat in my closet until I was like 8 or whatever. You know, it was awesome.
So what is it if you can muster up the words to describe?
Sure.
What is it about working with your hands? Like, what is that feeling for you that's so satisfying?
You know, I think it's like, it feels like I am getting, like, I'm in touch with my body to an extent. Like, I can really have full control of it, and, like, dexterity, I guess, to an extent. Like, I really like knowing that I can make it do something, right? I saw this weird thing when I was doing construction where, like, we would be in cramped spaces, like in a bathroom or under the bathroom or in an attic or wherever, and like, yeah, it's a field that draws a lot of more masculine men and like really like beefy dudes or whatever, and like I would see them know the way that they have to bend their body to get something done and like not do it, if that makes sense. Like say you had to like really crouch down or like bend your knees or squat or whatever, and I always got the sense that it was like they didn't want to look feminine doing it. If it was a weird, like, I never got any confirmation or asked or anything, but it always felt like so-and-so wasn't doing like the thing that would solve our problem, because they were like, I don't want to look gay in front of these guys. And so I don't really know how this, I mean, I know how this connects, but I don't know how to tie it back into like working with my body and having the control over it is like, but like,
no, I mean that
yeah,
makes a lot
you
of
get
sense.
you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like what popped into my mind is like I've been going to the bar a lot more
Yeah.
lately, and I've been starting to learn pool, how to play
Yeah.
pool. And at first, I was starting to learn, and I was really drunk, and
Mm-hmm.
I didn't care what I looked like.
Yeah.
But then, I started going back specifically to play pool,
Mm-hmm.
and now I'm like, I can tell that I'm not doing the form correctly because I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna look goofy, like,
Yeah.
or I don't know, people are
Whatever.
gonna look
Yeah.
at me. Yeah, and it's really interesting just how there's a like mental like block of like
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. I would. I logically I know I would look super fucking cool if I like hit that shot
Yeah.
really good
Yeah.
or fixed that thing really good.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's a mental block there, and it's interesting that that's a huge part of it for you because I also feel like lately that's something I've been paying a lot more attention to for myself is like how can I feel more in touch with my body
Mm-hmm.
like I can do things with this and like
Yeah.
yeah, so it's cool that is like your thing I guess.
Yeah.
What draws you to that is it I mean besides uh like wood and metal. Have you mentioned you've been picking up the guitar again lately?
Yeah, I mean, so part of the degree, like, I learned, painting, drawing, sculpture, and stuff, and like, I'm fine with those. Like, I got decent enough at oil painting that I could pass a class for it, but wood to a lesser degree, but mostly metal. Like, it's like it's hard to describe, but I can, when you're driving a car and you can kind of feel what's happening to the car.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can feel every bump and pothole and stuff through the car, even though you don't actually have nerves going through it and stuff. Like, I feel like I can get that sense through metal to an extent.
Yeah.
Like, knowing when it's too hot or too cold or, like, getting work hardened or stressed or anything like that. I kind of get that sense and that feeling through it. And so it's just been, like, the easiest one for me to work with and capitalize on.
Do you feel like that kind of just came naturally to you?
I think so. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I can't explain it, but
Right.
it feel like I can feel it.
So have you said that you have made like jewelry and stuff. You have like personal projects that you've done with metal?
Yeah. Every so often, like, it'll be I want to make something for someone or work on something. Like, my friend Friday and I just did the engagement rings for a couple of our friends, and like, it's just super, fulfilling and fun to be able to give someone a project that you worked on by yourself, and it wasn't like, I bought this and it made me think of you, which is still very kind and nice, but I always I think it's more sweet to be able to make it for them even if it's not perfect.
Right, yeah, absolutely. I had another question, I just lost it though.
For sure.
Do you have like your own studio? Like where do you do your personal projects?
I don't have a studio right now. I'm between studios. I mean, most of the stuff I need to do, like that I do for myself, at this point is just furniture, like a shelf here, shelf there, table, drawers, whatever. And that I mostly do in my parents' garage because it's all like my drill press is there, my bench grinders there, all that. If I need to do more jewelry stuff, I'll either hang back after work and use that space, which is very nice to have, or I'll reach out to a friend who I know has a jewelry studio set up.
Mm-hmm. You said between studios. Did you have your own studio?
No, I've never had.
No,
That was
never?
that was just a joke.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, understood.
No,
But yeah, I wanna ask you a little bit more about music.
Oh, sure.
What's up with that?
I was in a cover band in the UP for like a year, which was a lot of fun. I had to get over the block of like playing songs that I kind of hate, and learning to love them. And I don't know, like, since this winter, I've just kind of been playing stuff for myself, and like, I did it as like a form of journaling for a while, where I would just kind of like set up my phone and have it play, like record a voice memo, and then just like play whatever and sing along to it, and like it was worked great. And I finally had some stuff that I actually wanted to record, and a friend of mine in the UP recorded it for me. Some friend down here is mastering it, you know, just for personal use. I want to release it at some point, but I'm at the point with it where it's like, I don't think anyone else should hear this. Like, it's not, you know, it's not. I've sat with it for so long that I don't like it anymore.
Oh,
you know,
that's always gonna happen.
Oh, of course, it's always it's again you got to get over it, but
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to get over it right now.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, that is. I don't know if I've said this on camera yet, but I've said it to a few people, and it's just something I've been thinking about a lot lately, like with my own work too.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, for on one hand, like something I've been trying to do for myself more lately is to put stuff out there, even when I feel like it's not finished. Mostly just to be more efficient with my time.
For sure.
And like I don't actually have the time and energy to, and the resources to produce things to necessarily the level that I want to. So
yeah.
Besides, and along with that, I feel like it's been a huge practice for me in not overthinking my work.
Yeah.
Because again, I definitely feel like when you are the artist, the creator of something, and you're working on it, like I feel like you finish it and you still have this like X-ray vision of it, of like where it started and the whole process to get to where it is now. And then of course like where what your idea was when you started or whatever. And so I just really believe that like as artists or creators, like you don't get to know what it's gonna look like or sound like to other people.
For sure.
Like that's just literally not an option that you have. And I feel like most of my hesitation with putting stuff out there comes from over-analyzing my own stuff and trying to figure out what it's gonna look like to other people.
Yeah.
Even then, it's gonna look different to every person who looks at it.
For sure.
I am curious, like, when do you think you're gonna want to release your stuff musically?
We'll see. You know, it's. I don't. You know.
I guess I don't necessarily mean like
not like an
timeline.
actual time for, but like when would I be happy enough to? Yeah. It's hard to say because like I've sent it off and shown it to the friends of mine that I really like value their opinion on music for, and like they all seem to really like it, and that's great, and that makes me happy. But like music is the most important thing to me. Like to just as like kind of a like it's I will listen to music constantly, and like that's kind of what I get enjoyment from the most, other than working with my hands and stuff. But I feel like I know, or at least I'm familiar. Like I could imagine where things could go. Like what I've like made, I can imagine where it could be and where it could sit, and all of the things that could be done to it. And I don't have like the skill or talent to do that now, and so I think I would probably want to do that more. I would want to finish it out further and get it to a place where like I know I would be happy listening to it, or like if I just came across it and didn't know it was me. And I think I've noticed in a lot of my personal projects, like stuff that I make specifically for myself, that I will cut corners and like not finish it out or not treat it to the extent that it could be. And I think with music I've been trying to hold back on that and like really follow it to its end, instead of just saying, well, this is pretty good and I haven't been doing this very long, and I like this would be the first thing I've done technically for this, so it doesn't really matter that it's not perfect.
And that's, you're trying to avoid that?
Yeah, I'm trying to avoid letting myself get lazy about finishing something.
Okay. And you mentioned too about like a difference for you and when you're making something for yourself versus for other people. There's like a clear difference in your head when it comes to projects that you're working on?
Totally. Like I want the stuff that I make for myself to be good and functional, and like I have a shelf that works perfectly well. It holds my books and trinkets and stuff. But over the years it's been sagging because I forgot to brace it. I forgot to put like cross braces on the back of it so that it wouldn't like start shifting from a rectangle to a parallelogram. And I'm fine with that, and I'll go back and fix it one day, and I'll tighten all the screws that have gotten loose over the years and make it like finish it out to the way it should be. But if I were to give that to someone, I wouldn't be happy with it.
Right. Know? Is that that kind of difference in where something ends up? Is that something you like kind of have always thought about when creating things, or is that an idea that you feel like you developed more, um, maybe from the classes you were taking?
I feel like I've always done that. Like I've always kind of had the two tier like attitude towards it, but I didn't really start noticing it until like the last couple of years.
Okay.
You know, while I was in the UP, I was a bench jeweler, and so like I had to do a lot of projects directly for people, where instead of like, making something that would be sold at a later date or put off and then someone else could buy it when they decided they like it. Like I was making something, I was, resizing a ring or resetting a stone or making a ring for someone very specifically, and they knew everything about it inside and out, and I couldn't like cheap out. I couldn't say it's close enough.
Right.
Because it's like that's something so sentimental with someone, and then going back to projects that like I did myself, I could see where I had that attitude and just kind of like, forgot about it or didn't think about it.
Yeah, that's interesting because I feel like a lot of people I've talked to really have kind of the mindset or philosophy that like making art is a very selfish isn't quite the word, but like kind of a self-serving thing.
Yeah.
For like their own enjoyment, and that's like why they create things at all. But it's interesting to hear, and I feel like too, like I have to imagine that the environments that you've grown it up in that you described probably like contributed to that, because it sounds like you've a lot with like whether it's wood or metal have been in environments where it is more of a product.
Yeah, that comes back to like why I'm not fully comfortable calling myself an artist like regularly, is like a lot of the things that I do and the majority of stuff that I've done is for like someone I'm working for or like a commission or something like that. And I don't think that inherently lessens the quality of work or like whether or not it is art, but it makes me feel like it's a little bit less.
Does it make you feel at all a little disconnected from the work that you're doing?
Not necessarily, because I'm still like putting effort into it, like I'm still trying to do my best, always. So I still feel very connected to it, but it doesn't feel like it's like art. Right. I feel like art, it should stand on its own. It's going to be, whatever. But I feel like it being a product cheapens it a little bit, especially when it's a product that isn't necessarily based on like the creative work in it.
Yeah, like creative expression.
Exactly.
Yeah. What would you call yourself then?
It depends on who I'm talking to.
Alex, maybe?
Yeah, Alex first and foremost.
Actually, I don't even know if
yeah.
This is Alex.
It'll be in the title, I'd assume.
Yeah.
Alex first and foremost, but, if I'm talking to someone who, like, I know is more, aware of art and stuff, I'd say metalsmith, because that seems like it's the most apt thing. I have used artist to some people just because it's like the most catch-all and like solves a lot of things. Like I was talking to someone, it was this carpenter I ran into in a bar, and he was talking about how like me and the people I was standing with didn't look like they could do the type of work he does. Just like an old man, like you guys all look like you can't fucking lift a board or whatever. And like I talked to him later, and I'm like, oh, like I'm kind of a blacksmith at this point, and he's like, oh, you're an artist. That's why you look like that. And it was really funny because it's, you know what he means.
Yeah.
Don't have to, question that too much. But like, I'll tell him I'm a blacksmith, or I'll tell a friend of mine I'm a metalsmith, or just say I do restorations to someone else,
Right.
It kind of depends on the situation, I think.
I do want to bring it back a little bit because I know we've mostly been talking about like the metalsmithing work that you do, but you did at one point mention that music is actually first and foremost to you.
Listening to it and like listening to it. It's the like I think I get the most from music out of any like what would you say, like form of media, or like medium, I would say is a better word. It's something about it just has always been like not necessarily the easiest for me to understand and like connect with, but it's the one that I feel like when I connect with it, I connect with it harder than anything else.
How long have you been playing guitar?
I've been playing guitar on and off since middle school.
Okay.
And like very heavily on the on and off, not like very regimented practice, very directed,
Right.
you know. So yeah, I've been playing guitar and bass for the hell would that be? Like 10 years now.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
How did you learn?
My dad is a big guitar player. So he played guitar a lot in the home, and like I wanted to learn because of him. And I would, you know, I would hear a song and I would want to do that. Like, I think I heard some Violent Femme song and wanted to play the bass line on it, so I would teach myself that. You know, but I picked it up a lot more in the last year when I was playing with friends a lot, and going to open mics and stuff like that. So, you know, doing it more, got better at it, and just kept practicing with it.
Hell yeah. So you mentioned earlier that you were in a cover band.
Yes.
And you just said that you played some open mics.
Yeah.
And also some solo work.
Yeah.
Like, how much have you, like, what has your experience been, I guess, like working with other people or like sharing music with other people?
Well, I mean, like, I love to talk about it and hear the work my friends are doing and like work with them on stuff. Like, I had, you know, a handful of friends up in the UP that were musicians, and it was just really fun. We used to do, there was one band, we had 3 practices, we never had a show. It was called Stolen Valor, and it was great. We did, it was like noise rock sets in someone's house, and it was great. It was wonderful, and like, it's just it's such a nice form of connection where it's like a group of people who aren't necessarily talking about it, but like can feel each other and like know what everyone's doing and like call and respond to it, and it's just it was super pleasant.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And I know you were talking a bit about like your solo work that you're thinking of releasing soon. Do you have any like, I guess besides that or including that, what kind of goals do you have going forward with music?
I would like to finish something that I'm proud of. I find it's a great release to like, for me to talk about things and like capture feelings that I'm having or whatever. The majority of the stuff that I've written thus far is like just based on dreams I've had, and like, you know, I try to keep a dream journal and stuff, and so like if I have something that sounds nice, I'll look through that and find a section that works with it, and then just kind of put those two together.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
'Cause yeah, I guess you kind of already answered like the next question that I wanted to ask about that, which is, I know you had said something about it kind of being a form of journaling for you.
Yeah.
And then you just said like with the dream journal and a lot. My question was going to be like, what inspires you musically, whether it's like the Violent Femmes, like you said, or something less tangible like dream journals.
Yeah, I would say like in most things, I would say my biggest inspiration is probably I would say there's a musician, Scott Walker, who is my biggest inspiration as far like in generally everything. He had a really beautiful way of singing and but he had just a beautiful way of like taking stories from real life or mythology, and then kind of retelling them in certain ways and adding and removing from these real life stories to capture a different type of feeling or emotion. There's a great song, I forgot, oh God, what is it called? It doesn't really matter, but there's a wonderful song where the premise of it is Elvis Presley had a brother that died. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they were twin brothers, and only Elvis survived. Now, some nights Elvis would go out and like talk to his dead brother, like kind of like pray and, you know, talk to his dead brother, and he had this way of retelling that story and using it as the lyrical like subject matter to talk about 9/11 in a kind of weird roundabout way. Ending on the refrain like, I'm the only one left alive, I'm the only one left alive, I'm the only one left alive. And just something like that, and being able to point to other reference points and events or like common shared experiences between people, and using those shared experiences to like talk about something that you're specifically feeling and going through, is something that I find really interesting. Like, when I started in metals, I was pointed in the direction of semiotics by my professor. And I might be getting this wrong, but if I remember correctly, it's like, why are stop signs red? Why are green lights green to mean go? And those ideas of symbols and like kind of a shared unconsciousness. And so I found that really interesting and liked that idea. I also liked the idea of, I could describe, like, say I wanted to describe an apple to you. Like I could tell you every detail about it, but you would probably have a different apple in your mind than I would.
Mm-hmm.
And that disconnect while still like having shared experiences I thought was super interesting.
Yeah. That's I like that. No, I mean, and I can relate to that a lot. I feel like one of my favorite things, like if I were to say like my favorite medium art wise, it is communication.
Yeah.
So this is one of the most fascinating things to me, is that like we're just pointing to like concepts with the words that we're using and the way that we're putting them together and everything. But I also see like everything is communication, like music and like for sure. That's awesome. I love that. I am still curious though about you using your dream journals.
Oh yeah. I don't know. Sometimes like I'm not a very spiritual person, but I like to think about dreams a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think they're, whether I think sometimes they can point you in directions in life and stuff like that. And I think it gives a certain surreal like aspect to words and feelings when something's so disconnected as a dream is. Whether it's like I had one where it was I was visiting my sibling in Ann Arbor, and for some reason Ann Arbor's in a tunnel system now, and I'm running into someone I used to know and they're dressed in a Santa Claus outfit, and it's like, what the fuck is the point of this? Why is this happening this way? And I just think it's so interesting to be able to like kind of reword that in a way that sounds good and nice, and it's like just interesting. Like I don't really have any way to put it other than that.
When did you start dream journaling?
I've been doing it probably like on and off for like 12 years now.
Why did you start dream journaling?
Well, because like I love to be able to tell my friends like, oh hey, I had a dream about you last night and you had this phone malware and like told me not to get it or else the mafia was gonna come take money from us or something. And it's like just good conversation originally.
Yeah. I mean, obviously we all know that like dreams and symbolism and whatever. Do you feel like there's symbolism in your dreams and like it's actually representing like stuff that you're going through in real life, and is that part of the journaling for you?
I think so. I think maybe not like literal. I was in a paranormal club in high school, and the teacher who was leading it, he would interpret your dreams for you if you wanted. And I had a friend who had a dream about a chicken salad sandwich on wheat bread, and something along those lines. But the teacher was like, tell me your dream, and he goes on. He's like, I'm eating a chicken salad sandwich. He's like, okay, what bread? And the kid's like, whole wheat or whatever. And he's like, it's a toasted, And he's going down all of these very specific details. And then we get to the end of the dream, and he's like, okay, well, see me after club. We need to talk about this. And like, I don't know that everything in it matters like that.
What?
But I think like. And we never actually, no one ever heard or learned. I know my friend talked to him and got the answer, but he wouldn't tell us, which was really funny. But like, if it's, I'm having a dream and it's a friend that I haven't talked to in years, or like something along those lines. Like I feel like that matters and means something because I'm thinking about it, unconsciously.
Yeah. And
so like, I think that's real. I think that matters, but the whole, like the idea of interpreting dreams of like, oh, did you see this or that? And that I think is stretching it maybe.
But because I mean, in any case, like whole week could mean something totally different to different people. Do you feel like because obviously there's the process between waking up and writing stuff down in your dream journal, but then there's also the process on top of that, taking stuff from your dream journal and interpreting it musically.
It's in my hair.
Oh gosh,
that's all right.
Do you? I mean, how's that? How's that process for you?
Well, thus far, like,
I mean, I guess it could be any story that you're taking
Totally.
and interpreting musically.
yeah, I think thus far it's mostly been like trying to capture the feeling of it, right? And then put that in a way that flows nice, but still gets across kind of like that uneasy, uneasy feeling. But like there's a lot to it. Like I had some dream where I was driving a sailboat with a friend of mine, and we go to dock it in a harbor, specifically in waters that were like on the border of Canada and America. And I go to dock it, and I'm going up to the hell would you call it, marina office, and there's an ex-girlfriend of mine that I haven't spoken to in a decade, and she's taking the tickets or whatever, and her head is on fire for some reason, and it's like there's nothing wrong. There's like no one is reacting to it at all, and it's like, well, what the fuck do I say about that? And like, I like capturing like kind of like a sense of, in that instance of like finding respite in from a travel on a plate, like in a place that is secure, like mooring a boat, seeing someone you haven't talked to who is like going through something to an extent, but like neither she nor I or anyone else around is acknowledging it, and trying to capture like a sense of unease with that aspect of it, but still feeling comfortable and safer than you were. Like that's kind of my thought process, at least in that example.
All right. That's hell yeah.
Yeah.
You said that your work artistically or musically, like more for yourself, that you do is really on and off, and it kind of always has been. You said.
Yeah.
Do you feel like there's like anything that you recognize that like triggers that on or off?
Not particularly. It just kind of comes and goes on a whim, For a few months, I'll, just be happy doing nothing other than just like watching TV or, going to concerts or whatever. And then the next month it's like, well, I have all of this stuff that I have been thinking about and want to get done and work on, so I'm going to do that now, and then go back to whatever it was. There's never been like a common, like, I'm strapped for cash right now, like I'm going through a lot, or like any stressor or anything like that really leads to like, well, I need to do this to make myself feel better about it.
Right. So I mean, it sounds like it comes pretty naturally for you.
I think so.
But it does sound like there is like kind of a build up of you've been thinking about work that you wanna get done, and then that does kind of like, at some point, you are like, okay, now I'm ready to work on it.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I'll toss ideas around, like, because I'll have it in the back of my mind, like, thinking about stuff that I want to do or, like, say, or, I'll come across something or hear someone say something, I'm like, wow, I really like the way that sounds or looks, I want to do something about that, or, like, do something with that. And, it'll sit, I'll write it down somewhere, I'll keep track of it. But if I'm not in the space or like the headspace where I want to be doing something, then, I'd rather just have it and then come back to it later when I want to.
Right. Yeah. Do you feel like you'd be able to not make any art or music?
Oh, no, God, yeah, no, I need to do something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Why, and this is really tying it back, but...
Sure.
Because you've said essentially that like you don't have really specific goals of like what you want to do artistically or musically, like long term, but you did say that your dream job perhaps would be to be a professor.
Yeah.
Can you talk more about that? Why?
Yeah, sure. Well, so I'll try to dig deep and find a real answer for you. I like floating about. I had a really good conversation with right before I moved. A friend and I went to a diner that is very sentimental to us. It's Travis on 9 and Mac. Very sentimental place. And we were outside smoking a cigarette after our meal, and I saw a man with a license plate Wizard without the A. And we struck up a conversation with him, asked him, like, you're a wizard, you know. And he told the story about when he was a factory worker in the 70s. He got threatened to be fired because he had long hair, and so he said, "Fuck this! I'm going to go." I heard some guy I knew talk about this man out in Wyoming who paints cars. Like he does little like pinstripes, and he'll do, you know, designs and such on the hoods and wherever of the car. And he just told this great story of like traveling around the country in an RV, painting cars to like get from town to town, you know, going to dealerships and saying, "Hey, I'm the wizard." There was part of the school out there was that everyone had to take a name, so he's the wizard. He was taught by the hangman, and it's just, you know, this long cast of characters that are slipping by me. But he just told this really nice story about like kind of an almost vagabond lifestyle of like traveling around, and I really liked that, and it felt like something that I wanted to do. And I've been working with kids for a lot, like very regularly, but on and off again, like a lot of things for me. But I was a camp counselor right after high school, and it was just such a fulfilling experience where it's like, you know, a bunch of 12-year-olds that'll do whatever I say, you know, and it's like we had just a great time of like teaching them how to like canoe and build fires and all of this stuff. But we'd come back for like dinner time, and sometimes we'd get these little extra portions of dessert. And my co-counselor had this idea. He said, when we get an extra portion of dessert, everyone's going to hold out a number on their hand between 1 and 5. I'm going to add up all those numbers, and then we will count around the table that many times, and whoever it lands on gets the extra piece. Super simple. And he tells the kids right after the first time we do this, he says, "I wonder how long it's going to take for you guys to learn how to cheat the game." And there's no way to cheat the game. Like, you're adding numbers and counting around a circle. Yeah. But watching like this group of like 10 sixth graders over the course of like a month try to figure out how to cheat this game it just filled my heart with joy, because every time they're like, "What if I do a 3 and you do a 2? Like, can we?" You know, it was so precious and wonderful, and like getting to see them have fun and like exist. It was just wonderful. And I would substitute in for my high school teacher every so often. While I was in high school, like I would mix the glazes up for the ceramics class. Awesome. But I would mix up the glazes or clean up the studio and just like help take care of it, and it was super fulfilling because, you know, all of these well, you know, all these kids benefited from it, and I got to help them out like for doing art. And when I was in college, I would sit in for my professor to like show kids how to use the laser welder or show them how to solder or file or whatever it was. Like I had this one experience with a kid where my friend Friday and I were in the studio late after hours, and we're doing some casts. Like I forget what we had to cast, but we had some silver casts to do. And there was one kid sitting in the main studio working on his project, kind of like just quiet, you know, headphones on. And we went and got him, and we're like, "Hey man, do you want to come cast some silver?" Like he was he hadn't done it yet, and he came in with us. He did it, and like the next week he came up to me and was like, "I'm changing my major," you know. And it was just like so sweet, and it was like, oh my god, that's awesome. I'm so glad like I can help you do what it is you want to do with your life.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
that's fucking dope. How the hell does that tie into the whole RV traveling?
Oh yeah, well that's so so that's the not having a plan part. That's the the traveling. I'll figure it out when I get there.
Okay.
But that's why I want it. That's why I'm doing things the way I'm doing them. And then the working with people is why I want to end up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, like specifically as a professor at a college, or like any kind of like teaching.
I mean, I feel like working as a professor at a college would probably be the most straightforward, like, because the people I'd be teaching would be a lot, hopefully more mature and like have bearings about life and stuff. But I would be happy teaching high schoolers. You know, I would be happy teaching elementary kids like just how to do collages. You know, I went back to give a talk at my old high school. I think I was just about done with my degree, and you know, I put together a little presentation. I had a decent portfolio at the time. I had been in a few shows, and I got to talk to them about it. I was like, you know, this is kind of what it looks like to be an artist in college. Like, here's what you can expect, like here's the benefits of it. And there was one girl in the class who just kept asking me questions about like, like how much studio time do you get, like do you feel like you get enough to do, like it seemed like she really wanted to follow that. And it was so sweet. Like I got to talk to her after the class and I was like, here's everything I can tell you about it, like you should definitely chase this, or at least take a few classes.
Mm-hmm.
And between her questions, one of these kids, this kid, he pipes up and he's like, how much money do you think you're gonna make after college? And I'm like, I don't know, man. Get there,
Yeah.
It's all right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You find something.
But you did find a job using your degree and your experience. That's awesome. Because that's another thing too. I feel like there's this common idea that people who go to school for art don't get jobs with their degrees.
Yeah.
But you're not the only person I know who has gotten a job that is like directly related in some way to the art degree that they got in college.
Oh, totally. Yeah, like it's rare. Sorry to cut you off, but like it's it's not like the most straightforward path always, but like I think people who are going to do creative work and like that is what they should be doing will figure it out to an extent. Like I have a really good friend, a couple friends that are siblings in a band, right? And they just work retail for I think like 7 months, 10 months of the year, and then go tour the country for the other 2, play for themselves. And it's like so happy for them, even if they're just selling books on the side.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and I was gonna say like it. Not just you, but like other people I've met who have gotten jobs that are related to their degrees. It's not like you complete your degree, you put it on your resume, and you go on Indeed.
Yeah.
It seems very often it's much more so like knowing people and making connections and talking about what you're doing. And how is it again? You said that you got
Instagram story. Yeah.
Instagram story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh shit. Yeah. But yeah, it does seem like a very more direct connection kind of thing to get artistic jobs.
Yeah, it's from what it's definitely a knowing people kind of thing. It's and like you just do that. You make friends, and like friends want to help friends out.
Hell yeah.
And if it's like, oh hey, I know so and so has a screen printer that they'll let you use, like you can go do that.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Let's see where we're at on time.
57:30.
This is pretty damn good. I usually try to aim for roughly an hour.
Okay.
I think, and I mean, unless you're like hiding things from me and you haven't given me more to work with, I'm not sure there's a whole lot more for me to pry into here.
I'm trying to. I used to do improv comedy.
Whoa. Okay. Yeah. That sounds great.
Is it?
Tell me a little bit more about that.
I mean,
Why?
Why is a great question. Well, like, there were some family friends who were at Planet Ant when I was growing up, a little comedy venue, or used to be a comedy venue in Hamtramck.
No, it's still there.
Is it? Because I don't think they're doing shows in the house anymore, are they? Is it just
I don't know. I haven't been there before, but one of my new goals is to improve my comedy, so I have been on the lookout for
you should go
local things to do with that.
Look into that. I don't know if they're still running the Detroit Improv Fest, but they were for a few years, and it was fun. But yeah, so I had some friends who were doing that, like family friends who were doing that, and I went to like, God, there was one in Ferndale, like Go Comedy or something, and I think I was like 12 or 13, and they offered teen classes, or like they had a special night where like they ran a bunch of like improv games, and you throw your name in a hat, and they'll be like, all right, you're playing this game today. So I do that, and I was in a few troops for a little while. It was great. Like I think I gained a lot from it. It helped a lot with like communication and talking to people and keeping conversations going, and like just being funny, at least trying to be. So I gained a lot from it, like I think, but it's just It's funny to say. I'm an improv. Yeah, like, can you come to my show? You know, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's awesome.
Yeah, it's fun, but it's.
I've already had friends make fun of me for wanting to do improv.
But you should do improv.
Thank you.
As someone who's done improv and looks back on it and kind of cringes a little bit, you should do improv.
Yeah. I mean, I was a theater kid, so I don't.
Oh, perfect.
I don't think it's really that far off. From,
No.
Backstage, rehearsals and stuff, but
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. So you value humor and comedy?
I try to, yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
It's an art, right?
Oh, totally, it's an art. Like, being able to be funny on command is, it just insanely, like, it's such an art and so hard to do.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. All right, well... So tell me a joke.
Trying to think if I got any good ones. I got listen, man. I'm not an artist. We covered that ground.
But you're a comedian, right?
Nope.
No. Okay. Never mind. Okay. Yeah. Nothing else. Nothing else.
That's all
Nothing?
I've got.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have one more question for
Sure.
you then. What is your favorite metal?
My favorite metal. Okay, so I really enjoy. There's three answers. I think if I were to be making something that I wanted to make for someone and they weren't paying for it, I would go sterling silver or like fine silver. It's such a nice, beautiful, it's like the whitest metal you can get. It's like such a pure reflection and mirror that you can get without anything added to it. And it's so easy to work. It melts at a really nice temperature. It takes a long time for it to work harden and toughen up. And I like that a lot. I think if I'm making something like cheap or like quick, I'm going copper, which again is very easy to work with. Its melting temperature is a lot higher, which for a few things makes it a little bit of a pain to work with. But you can get such beautiful, brilliant colors out of it with patinas, oxides, anything. You can get it like you can make it purple, or green if you want, and it's just gorgeous. But if I had everything I wanted, I would be working in platinum. I love platinum so much. It is so soft and so smooth. It's a pain to polish. Like, it's a very tough metal, but like with the right, like if you have a laser welder and you're like just popping it with little beams of light, like it's so smooth and it's so like buttery, and it's just a beautiful thing to get to like work with.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
Those are my answers.
Good answers. Good answers. And I lied, actually. I'm going to ask you one more thing.
Okay, go for it.
I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit.
Hit
And
it.
don't take it too seriously, though.
Okay.
If you had, so maybe you're not an artist.
Sure.
But you're a creator. You make things.
So, yeah,
you're
sure.
a maker of
Sure.
things. You do stuff. What is one thing you'd like to share with other people who do stuff and make stuff?
Fuck. What's the saying? Like, well, first, like, don't listen to me, but well, don't listen to what I've said, but make something first and make it good later, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
I like that.
for sure. It's not a unique thought, but I think it's a good thing to hear.
No, I like how you put that. I don't think I've heard anyone say it exactly like that before.
I saw it on Twitter like 3 days ago.
All right,
Yeah.
I don't use Twitter, so
Hey, that's great. Good
you
for
know.
now. Very happy for you.
Yeah, so make something first and then make it good later.
Yeah, why not?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, get it out there. Show it to someone. You
Yeah.
don't have to like put it on display or like really put it anywhere super serious, but like show someone you care about or like trust and like open yourself up to that. And it's such a huge hurdle and like such a great first hurdle, of like, oh hey, I made this thing and I'm not really sure about it, or like I just want you to look at it and tell me what you think. And like it can be such a great thing of like strengthening a friendship and like getting honest, good criticism back, and like, having that reassurance that like people care about what you're doing and that you care about what they have to say about it.
Hell yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
You're very well spoken. Yeah, you got a lot of wonderful things to say today. I
Thank you.
appreciate that. Thank you for coming on here,
Of
even though we
course.
don't know each other.
Hey.
Really, we know each other better now.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is Alex.
It's Grace Kelly.
Yeah. All right. Bye. Bye.